when you push the button when you're supposed to push the button. Greetings, welcome to Calm, Clear Conversation. I'm Christopher Johnson. With me today is none other than rock star Kristie Stalker.
Hey, Christopher.
Greetings, how are you, my friend?
I am doing well, and it's awesome to be here with a fellow rock star. So I think this is going to be an awesome conversation today about leadership and everything. Day started off well, so I am ready to go. I'm ready to have this conversation.
All right, so the day started off well. How did the day start off?
Well, I am training. I am training for my second marathon this year. It is in Memphis in about 2.5 weeks. So I did an 8-mile training run this morning. So pumped up, ready to go.
That is wonderful. All right, so one of the mindsets that we're going to talk about, leadership, you just got it done. You got up, you got out, and got it in. Is today a perfect weather day for running?
No. And I'm actually glad that you brought that up because it was about 47 degrees and it was raining and I had about 8 miles of hills that I needed to do. So it was even a hill workout. And and I will say it's funny when you talk about mindset is there's never a perfect time to do anything. So could I have said, well, I'll skip the run, it's not a big deal. What's 8 miles when you're doing a whole marathon? But it's really important that to understand maybe on the day of my marathon, it won't be perfect weather. And so the work that you put into now in the rain, in the cold, in the wind, in the nasty weather is just going to pay off in the long run. Haha, no, no pun intended. But it's true. You just got to say, you know what? There's never going to be perfect conditions to do whatever it is you want to do, whether it's your leadership journey or improve your career or whatever. There's never going to be a perfect time. And honestly, when you're training and training your mindset, for me, it's physically, but running is a lot of psychological as well. When you're out there doing it, you kind of feel, you kind of want to brush your shoulders off that, hey, I just ran 8 miles in the rain and the muck and everything, and you just feel better for it. So, yeah.
That is really true. We wait for perfect conditions, and that doesn't exist.
Nope, never does. Nope. And that's what's funny about a lot of my clients that I coach. A lot of them get stuck in analysis paralysis, right? And I'll be the first one to say I've done the same where I cut right everybody out there, right? And I've always, not always, but there's been a lot of times where I've waited, well, after this, or when I do this, or when I get to this level, or when this happens, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. That just stops you from really living and working your true potential. And if you just keep waiting, there was a speech I did a long time ago where there's never a perfect time. If you just keep waiting and waiting, what are you waiting for? Because perfect just never happens. And it's the people who say, you know what? No matter what, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do the run, or I'm going to go for that promotion, or I'm going to open that business, whatever it is. I mean, those are the people that are truly successful, that are getting things done. And the people on the sidelines that sit and say, wow, I can't believe you did that. There's really no magic to it. It's just a matter of saying, do you really want this? Okay, well, perfect or non-perfect, you're still going to get it done.
Adaptability.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really good. I'm seeing a intersection between the mindset of someone like a runner and, hey, all right, so when I first met you, that was with Isaka.
Mhm.
You were doing a training for the Isaka Detroit chapter. And I said, wow, that's someone I need to connect with. And we did. And then I saw a post and we had both commented on it. It's like, wait a second. We're both in the running community. How come we haven't run into each other? But it is, So there's a mindset connection between running and improv. Both, you can't wait for anything perfect. You just have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It could always be better, but you keep working on it and refining it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you bring that up because there is a very strong correlation between running and leadership, running and success. And one of these days, mark my words here in this interview, I am going to write a book that has to do with the connection between running and leadership. Because when I'm out there, like today, I'm running up and down hills. My feet are soaked. I'm cold. I'm wet. But what the interesting thing is that I'm out there doing it. And something that somebody told me a long, long, long time ago was if you're in competition. Now, when I run, I'm not running against anyone. I'm literally running against myself. I'm not trying to win the marathon. But the people who are successful are the ones that were out there in the rain, in the cold. So the time that you decided to not go for that promotion or not speak to your leader or whatever, not take that professional development class, your competition's doing it. And they're doing it whether it's raining or it's cold or not. They're going against all odds to do what needs to be done. So the more days that you kind of take off because it's not perfect are the days that your competition is out there working it. Now, like I said, I'm not in competition in the running, but if you take it into the business world and the leadership world, if you really want to get ahead, whether it's in your job or whether it's in your business, there's always going to be somebody out there who woke up a little bit earlier, who's working it a little bit harder. And this isn't to compare, right? But it's to keep you motivated to say, look, if there's a certain goal that you're going for, certain clientele, certain profitability, or a certain leadership position you're trying to get to, sitting at home waiting for the perfect time is not going to get you there. It never will.
No, you just have to actively be going after what you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a theoretical construct. Well, on paper, this would work. On paper, I could run a marathon in 4 hours. The reality is completely different.
It's true.
The Yeah. So Memphis, this was your second one this year?
This is my second one this year. So Memphis will be my sixth marathon. I ran Chicago back in October. It was a bit of a train wreck, but but that's actually, if you want to talk about mindset, uh Chicago is one of the largest marathons in the world, right? Outside of New York. And it is a world major marathon. There's only 6 of them in the world. And I was accepted to run in the Chicago one. So, of course, I was really excited. I lost a lot of weight. I trained hard. I mean, my training was on par, Christopher. I mean, I was ready for that thing. No matter, I trained in heat, humidity, weather, everything. I was like, I am totally going to do a personal record at this race. Wrong. Unfortunately, the weather was way too hot for a marathon. It was in yellow flag conditions, which means, be careful. By the time I hit the half marathon mark, they had pulled out the red flag, which means danger zone, be very careful. We're one flag away from canceling the whole thing. So it was really hot. And most people would not consider 78 degrees and 70% humidity hot. But if you're running 26 miles, that's not good conditions. And so when I got up to run the marathon, I was feeling good. I did everything right, on par. By mile 9, I was kind of falling apart. Okay, mile 9 is a really bad time to fall apart because you have 17 miles to go. And so at that point, I said, you know what? I'm not going to make my record, which is fine, right? Like sometimes it doesn't matter how much training that you do, how much prep work, whatever I did everything perfect. the day of, there's nothing I could do to control that weather. And for some reason, that humidity snuck up on everyone. It's not like it was just me. It was even the elites were having issues. So at that point, you've got to change direction. I had two choices: either give up, which was not an option. A DNF, which is a do not finish, was not an option for me. 17 miles, I had to just tough it out. And I said, okay, I can either go through this turmoil with either a smile on my face, or I could just pity myself and start crying and just be upset about the situation. And so I chose the first one. And I said, I'm in Chicago. There is 26,000 people running with me. All of Chicago is here, ringing their cowbells and screaming and signs and music and running through Chinatown. And, I've never done this before. I will never run Chicago again because I'm doing one in each state, right? So Illinois is checked off. I'm only doing it once. And so I said, I'm going to enjoy this journey. So were there some tears? Yeah, I'd say there was a little bit of some tears, because it was a struggle. 17 miles struggling is no joke. But I danced, I encouraged others. Other people were, cramping up, limping. Some people were, on the sidelines sitting down, and it was bad. It was bad, Christopher. And so when I took the turn in Chicago, I can't see the finish line until you're right up on it. So it was kind of crazy. You turn left and you're like, oh, there's the finish. And so I started booking, and other people are kind of trudging and walking and limping and, grabbing their legs. And I saw people on stretchers. I saw people in wheelchairs. I saw people collapsing. And at that point, I felt that I had made the right choice. I trusted my training, and I was able to run across that finish line. I didn't need any medical help. I didn't pass out. Was I tired? Yes, but I was still upright. And 2 days later, I wasn't even sore. So at that point, what I would say is, everything that you've been doing up until this point, the training, the planning, the leadership development, sometimes things just don't always work out and it's beyond your control. But the things that you can control is your actions and your attitude. And so I said, you know what? I'm in Chicago. Not everybody can run this marathon. Not anybody can just run a marathon. I'm going to make the best out of this situation. And I had support from my friends. I even had my best friend texting me. Now that got me kind of emotional because you can track runners and everything. And she saw me on an app and she saw me slowing down, and she's texting me and she's like, Kristie, just keep going. You've got only 3 more miles. You can do this. And so when you're kind of going through the fray, no matter what it is, first of all, trust your training, trust your experience level, trust what you've understood over all these years, and then lean on your support, because I had nobody around. I had strangers screaming my name, because it's on, on my bed, screaming at me, high-fiving me, doing a hose, watering me down, here's some snacks, here's some Jello shots. It was crazy. And you just had to lean on the support when things were getting tough, even though it was strangers. And, my best friend texting me. And of course, my cousin, he's an elite runner. He met me at the finish line. So when you're kind of going through some really nasty times, you really just have to have that faith and belief in yourself that you will cross that finish line. You will finish whatever it is you started. It might not have been what you wanted, but if you have that faith and belief in yourself and you trust the support of others and you lean on them, your mentors, your coaches, your leaders, your boss, whoever it is, if you lean on that team, you can pretty much do anything. And then you learn from it, right? I learned a lot of lessons.
Absolutely. Okay, I have to say, 2022, fingers crossed, will be the year that your book comes out. Not to put any pressure on you, but to put some pressure on you. Because, all right, just this episode, there is so much right there. Were the conditions perfect? No. Did you persevere? Did you have a mindset moment where you said, all right, I could either do A or B? And the leadership mindset said, all right, well, the leadership thing to do is this, is to go forward, to lean on community, to embrace the experience. It's all in how we choose to react in the individual moments.
Mhm.
So the leadership book will be coming out next year.
I don't know. There's so many stories that I need to put in it. It's not even funny, Christopher, but
Well,
um,
see, okay,
you know,
the first of a multi-volume set.
there we go. We could have like part one, two, three. It'll be like a series, like Lord of the Rings or
There you
something.
go. Well, I mean, because there it is an endless sort of thing.
That's true.
Running and leadership, fine, a whole book about that. That's fine. But there are other aspects to it as well. All right. So just from that one brief story, the the community and leadership. So there was a reliance and interaction between yourself and the community you found yourself in during the race that helped you get it done. And we need to embrace that, I think, in life as well.
Hmm.
Get involved in a community, make a difference. Being involved in a community can not only make a difference in that community, it makes a difference in ourselves as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There was a quote by Charlie Tremendous Jones, and I won't get it exact, but he said, "You are who you will be in 5 years based on the books that you read and the people that you associate with." And so, a lot of people out there probably heard the if you take the income of your five closest friends, that's probably as close as you will be getting. But it's really, really important to associate yourself with the right people. And I just fed off the crowd. I fed off the positivity and everything. And it's really interesting when people talk about leadership. They say, well, what are the things that all leaders need to have? Integrity or honesty or transparency or empathy. Those are all huge qualities. And like we prefaced before this conversation, Christopher, is, hey, how has that changed over the years? The concentration on what do leaders really, really need? And I would agree they all need that. But the number one key, and we kind of revealed it already, if anybody out there was listening, was mindset. Because if you want to be a leader, you can work on character and integrity. For some people, it's naturally there, but you can work on that. You can work on empathy. You can work on communication skills. You can work on conflict management. All of those things can be worked on. But if you don't have the mindset around it to want to be a really good leader, to be successful, to be a confident, influential leader, none of that will happen. None of it. You have to have the mindset and understand what you can and cannot control in order to be that good leader. So if you want to be more empathetic, let's say you're of that personality where you're like, suck it up, cupcake, just do the thing, what's wrong with you? If you kind of want to be a little bit more empathetic or compassionate, you have to have the mindset to want to be that way, to want to read the books, to want to take some professional development courses, to be coached. All the people that get into my coaching program, my leadership coaching program, they're the ones that are like, you know what, Kristie, I'm ready to change. This whatever is not working, this corporate job or this lifestyle is not working. Every single person who joins my program has the mindset they know that things need to change. And the ones that don't, and this is the honest to goodness truth, Christopher, there are people who I've talked to about my coaching program years ago, and then a couple of years later I catch up with them, and guess what? still complaining about the same thing over and over. Well, this is going on and that's going on, and I'm still struggling with this, and I have to keep my mouth quiet because I say, as long as you have that same mindset, nothing's going to change. So if you
Okay.
want to be that successful leader, it starts with here first. And everybody's going to say, well, of course it does. Okay. So what's changing for you then?
So, all right, in full disclosure, yes, I have been through your coaching program. I highly recommend your coaching program. One of the things that made a difference with for me is focus. Now, with what you just said with the mindset, and leaders are coaches, but our leaders are also coachable.
Mm-hmm. They should
So
be.
leaders are always okay. Leaders are always learning,
Yes.
and, and should have leaders not only should coach, but they should be coaches to their team or the people that or the group that they're leading.
Absolutely. That comes with the job, right? And I think that is something that is easily looked over, right? So when somebody gets promoted, they say, okay, well, I got to make sure we meet these goals or this profitability or meet these sales and make sure the team is okay and everything runs smooth. And that's great. You know, that's part of being a leader. But my mentors and my leadership style is also the other half of mentorship. Because if you really, really want to have a high performing team, you are also part mentor, part coach, like you said, Christopher. And if that's what you really want, if you want to have the best team ever, they're going to be looking to you for guidance, for that focus, that clarity, right? So you're a leader, but you're also a mentor. And it's up to you to guide them and mentor them, whether they're doing something right or wrong, right? It goes both ways. You have to mentor them if they've done something not so correct, and then praise them and encourage them when they are doing something that's totally awesome, out of the park, right? So the other thing is leaders should also have coaches, you know, and that's the thing in the coaching industry. Beware of coaches who don't have coaches, right? And now I have two
Yeah.
really strong coaches, right? I have two business coaches and I rely on them heavily, and they have mentors and coaches. So it just goes full circle, right? Because leaders have never arrived. If you're a leader and you think, I've arrived, you know, woohoo, look at me, I'm on the top, I'm the C-suite or whatever it is, right? You can always keep working on yourself. Nobody ever arrives. At least that's my philosophy. Because if you feel that you've arrived, where is the direction going to go from there?
Straight down. Yeah.
Yes.
And I wholeheartedly agree with that. The analogy I've made to people is professional athletes. Look at the top person in any sport, they still have a coach. You know, are they more talented than the person who's coaching them? Perhaps, but the coach knows something that the individual does not. How to get them objectively from where they are into better performance.
Yep. That's
So,
exactly how it
yeah,
goes.
yeah. Everyone out there who is getting something done on a high level, all right, not everyone. The people who are getting stuff done consistently on a high level work with coaches.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're one of the leaders out there and you've got, you know, a big team that you were just given, right? You got promoted or whatever it is, or if you're a business owner and you've got some employees or new people that you want to hire, um, you know, I mean, it really behooves you to get a coach. Because if you are serious, and like you just said, the athletes that are serious about succeeding get coaches. personal mentors, personal coaches, whatever it is, right? And sometimes they've done it since they were like little bitty, right? 4 or 5 years old. Um, but even those professionals, they're going to have professional nutrition coaches, conditioning coaches, health coaches. I mean, that's what they do. The most successful ones, if you look into their life, like you said, they have an entire team behind them helping them succeed. Just like we talked about the support system, right? At the marathon, same kind of the same concept. So yeah, if you're a leader, and if you've got a team that you're not quite sure how to get the most out of or motivate them, yes, I would highly recommend that you get a coach. And that will help you be a coach to your team. And the more that you mentor and coach your team and motivate them and influence them and guide them and give them that focus, the more they're going to want to perform for you, for the organization, for the goals, for the vision, for whatever it is. And that is a huge key when it comes to leadership, is that motivation and that energy, to energize your team and create that enthusiasm. Because once you become leader and mentor / coach,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to want to jump over mountains for you, for whatever it is.
That is true. Now, you work or you coach leaders.
Mhm.
Who is your ideal client, or do you have an ideal client that, uh, yeah, who's your ideal client?
I love people who are hungry. They don't need to have all the answers, because that's what I'm here for. Not all the answers, but to help them guide to the answers, right? I love the people that are just hungry and driven. They come to me and say, Kristie, I am done with this mediocre average. I've gotten to this level and I've done fairly good, fairly well, but I really, really, really want to get to this level. The people that know that we only have one life, and they are willing to do what it takes to make the most out of the life that they have. Those are my ideal clients. I love working with
Mm.
those people. They might be a little afraid. Like, Kristie, I have no clue how I'm going to do this. I've got a little fear, got a little apprehension. That's totally cool. We work through that every single time. Not an issue. I'm okay with that, because the ones that have a little bit of fear, that tells me that it really means a lot to them. Because if they had no fear, they'd think it's a piece of cake and maybe they don't care as much. It's the ones that have a healthy dose of fear are the ones that are going to do really well, because those are the ones that really care about the journey. So my ideal client are the folks out there that are at a certain professional level. They could be a manager or individual contributor. They could even be a C-suite. But the big thing is that they know that they were meant for something greater. In fact, I was just talking to somebody a couple days ago. She came to me and she just kind of found me, and we booked a call, and she said, I love what I do, Kristie. She's in the corporate world, and she's a director, actually. She's got the company car and all these good things and the money. She goes, but I just feel like I could be utilized more. I've got so much more talent, so much more stuff. I just feel like there's more to me than just this one little thing that I'm doing at this company. And I said, well, you'd be right. And it's just a matter of finding it. It's there. It's just a matter of finding it. And those are the type of people that I love working with, that know they're meant for more. They have a greater purpose. They might not know what it is. They need a little clarity and direction, but I love that. I love those people who are driven like that.
That's great. So you help people move beyond what their comfort zone is.
All the time. And Christopher, you should know that, right? That's
Yes. Hey, starting a company was uh, that was a challenge, and yeah, going through your program, looking at what my personality type is, where my comfort zone is. Like, all right, well, you know what? You need to move beyond that, and if you want X, you need to do Y. But why? Well, because you want X. Do you really want X? Yeah. Okay. This is what you need to do.
Hmm.
Getting that clarity and focus and expanding where my comfort zone lies, and setting up a process or setting up a way of identifying, gee, so that's right at the edge of my comfort zone. What do I need to do to get past that? So that was another one of the outcomes of going through the program. Looking at, do I have to have all the answers before I can move forward today? No, but I need to put a plan in place so I can move forward.
That's really all it is. And you know, everybody's heard that adage of pushing past your comfort zone, getting outside your comfort zone. And and it really is true. You know, if you've ever looked at people like, you know, maybe like I have, and you look at somebody who's very successful, whether it's in business or athletics or a nonprofit, whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. When you look at them and just say, wow, you know, what did they do? Oh my gosh. And you just kind of fawn over them and their success and what they did. And, oh, well, I wish I could do that. That person was doing something and thinking things that about 95% of the population does not do. I mean, look at the Olympic athletes, right? Honestly, if you had at least even somewhat of the athletic ability or the body type or whatever, and if you really wanted to be a gold medal, whatever it is, a runner or a skier or gymnast or something like that, you absolutely could have done it. But it's all about, what do you really want and what are you willing to do for it? And those Olympic athletes, they are willing to do everything for that medal because that's what they want. Now, a lot of people out there, they don't want an Olympic medal. They're like, well, you know, I just want the corner office, or I just want to make a certain amount of money, or I just want a certain clientele in my business, or, you know, I would just like to be a manager. That's all I want, with maybe a small team so I can make a difference, whatever it is. But it is, what are you willing to do for that? And the second part of that, if you talk about getting outside your comfort zone and fear, is, what's the worst that could possibly happen? And will that really
Exactly.
happen?
No,
No.
our fertile imagination can devise way more things that could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now, taking this or connecting this with running. So you've run multiple marathons. Wow. I've run one, because doing that one is like, I am not willing to do this again.
Yeah, that's true.
Some people go and some people say running marathons, well, it's like potato chips. You can't stop at one. It's like, yeah, I can stop at one.
Smart.
Well, smart knows it is seeing and understanding what it took to do one and then repeating that. Like, all right, I can do other things instead. I have satisfied that level of curiosity. I'm capable of doing that. Now, what else can I do? If the marathon is no longer a limit or a barrier, what else can I learn how to do? And hey, that's how we learn and grow and repeat and expand our comfort zone, turn our confinement zones into comfort zones, and move them out.
Absolutely.
Kristie, this has been a ton of fun. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom on leadership. Is there anything on the horizon that people should be aware of? Where are you
Oh,
speaking next? Or,
I've got a lot of irons in the fire right now. I am doing a 4-part corporate leadership series. It's a webinar series for a leadership development association for the largest health insurance company in this state. And so that's been a lot of fun. That's been really successful. But in 2022, you're going to see a lot more of me, not only on my YouTube channel, KristieTV.com. So you're going to see a lot more episodes there. But the other thing that you're going to see is a lot more of me offering leadership consulting programs, not only for accounting firms, but for professional firms, technical firms, things like that. So you're going to see some brand new leadership programs that I'm offering for companies that are like, we really kind of want to get our brand new driven professionals leadership ready. So I'm going to be going in there and helping them get all of their good driven professionals ready to take the helm and get them into that leadership pipeline so they can be promoted. So you're going to see a lot of that. I just got back from Orlando not too long ago, maybe several days ago, from the Create Experience. And the Create Experience was a success and leadership retreat that I hosted in Orlando for about 3.5 days. And it was amazing. That's all I'll say. We had a private villa and it was huge. We had guest speakers. People left refreshed and focused. And by the second day, everybody was saying, "Hey, Kristie, when are you going to do this again?" Probably 2023, maybe not next year, but the year after, I'm going to hold another leadership retreat, and it'll be bigger and better and awesomer and everything. So those are the big things that I have in the fire for 2022 and beyond. Look for a lot of leadership programs where I can go into a company or organization and get all their people ready. Because honestly, they didn't teach a lot of that stuff in school, and a lot of organizations are struggling to get people ready to continue taking that leadership helm, and it's just not happening. So that's where I come in.
I agree, and I put the link to Kristie TV and your social media presence in the comments so people can get in touch with you that way. And see the other thing, and it's not peer pressure, it's encouragement. And the book, because,
I
all right, I say this out of my own bias because I want to read it.
That's okay. Hey, you know what? You're going to be the first to get a signed copy. Let's just say that. You'll be the first to get a signed copy. I've already talked with, what do we talk about? Coaches, right? So I do know of a book coach, and he's been talking to me for the last, I don't know, year about, Kristie, when are you going to get that book out? Well, there's been a lot of other priorities first, right? I'm really huge on focusing and keeping your priorities in order. There are a lot of other things that I wanted to take care of in my business first, that were a lot of client facing, especially these new leadership consulting programs. But the chapters in the outline are always going up in the head, right? So I'm kind of cataloging everything, and I'm sure one of these days, maybe at the end of 2022, I don't know, don't quote me, but we'll definitely have to get that book out because it's really good information, and it puts a different spin on leadership, that maybe a lot of people haven't heard or seen before. But it's really, really relevant and kind of puts in perspective of what you can and cannot control, as a person, as a leader, and whatnot. But hopefully it'll help people in the future.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Christopher. I had fun.
Wonderful.